guys, welcome to another episode of Tech Talk with AFO and friends. Abiola, welcome back. A round of applause for Abiola.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Abiola, it's good to have you back.
Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to be here as usual. The good part, like I mentioned last week, Abiola and Demola are regulars for us now. You know, I mean, even before we got started, a lot of professional, advice coming from Abiola back and forth. Afo the lightning, Afo you can't put on your glasses. The last time you wore your glasses, it was obvious that you have a ring behind the camera, right? Abiola is, everything Abiola, touch of Midas. That Midas touch is always about him. On Techtalk with AFO, go ahead, Abiola. You wanted to react.
So I said that's a good one. Some people refer to me as magic fingers in product design. So yeah, that's fine.
Awesome. Kester, I appreciate Abiola now. You guys are now sparring partners.
I'm actually looking forward to hearing your thoughts on some of the topics we have to discuss today.
I think I have some controversial topics, controversial thoughts, but I'll just
controversial. So let's get into it. We actually have a couple of things lined up on Tech Talk with AFO. Our conversation is on technology as much as we can. Some would touch on regulation, and for some reason, Kester and Ife said you can't be having conversation around technology without, making social media part of what you discuss. It is also tech in some way, whichever way you want to see it. So another introduction is that in our conversation, we've decided to look at trending news, and we'll just pick one particular news that we feel we can have a conversation around, and also try to use that to spice up our conversation. So the first topic we want to speak to today is on Starlink. Remember, Abiola, when we started, our conversation was around that 1-2 weeks internet downtime that we had in Nigeria. I'm of the opinion that, if Starlink service was up and running and we even have more of satellite providers, we wouldn't find ourselves in a situation when an underground cable for, was it MTN or Fiber One goes down, the country's internet service goes down, okay? But Starlink that is in Africa, in Nigeria, some part of Africa, for example, some countries, Ghana, one of them, Senegal, I think is also going that direction, saying, wait a minute, Starlink, we don't want your service. In your own opinion, looking at Starlink service, looking at the character is also important. The personality driving Starlink, what do you think about their service? Abiola, I'm giving you the first shot on this.
Okay, how do I say this without being controversial? I think I'm biased as to the character behind the service and to the service itself. When Starlink was going to launch in Nigeria, they promised heaven and earth, right? And the first set of videos that came out where people were reviewing Starlink, they had absolutely basic upload and download speeds, something around the lines of 60 Mbps, 50 Mbps. And at that time, MTN was having over 200 Mbps in peak hour in busy periods of the day, right? So it's hard for me to side with Starlink because it's a Starlink, right? If you look at it objectively, I have an MTN that provides me 200 Mbps, 100 Mbps during the day, and over 500 Mbps at night. Then I would now leave that and dump it for something more expensive to set up, more expensive to maintain and run on a monthly basis, just because it is a backup solution. I think that's there's a disconnect in that, right? Another problem that I have with Starlink, right, is the fact that aside that you're just ridiculously expensive to buy a modem, but getting a modem is ridiculously expensive. There is no customer support for the Nigerian market. It feels to me that Starlink was just dumped, just like every electronic waste is dumped into the Nigerian market. Starlink devices were just dumped. When your cable spoils, you have to ship one from the US, which would take days or weeks. when you do not have internet access, there is no actual phone number to call. So paint this scenario. I buy a Starlink and I go into the woods of Obudu Cattle Ranch, right? And on the mountains, I have an internet network, and I don't have any other internet network. By the way, there's Airtel on the mountain, but aside Starlink, I have no other internet network, right? Then for some reason, my internet network goes away. There is no phone number that I could pick and call and say, oh, has the world ended, or is it just my Starlink that is misbehaving? There isn't. Okay. Bear in mind, you say that there's a support email. Bear in mind, you don't have internet access, so you can't send an email.
Abiola, what I love about competition is it is your choice, right? Mm-hmm. Already from the beginning, it shows how biased you are. You referred to, no, seriously, you referred to Starlink service as a backup service. That shows how biased you are. So hold your thought. I'll come back to you. Kester, I want your own reaction to what Abiola just spoke to, right? Abiola feels that Starlink should not even be entertained in any shape or form, if I got you correctly.
No, it can be entertained as a backup service.
As a backup service, right? But eventually, Abiola, when I come to you, but I really want to get Kester's thoughts, and Kester, you can speak to it now, right? So Starlink is not even just about the service alone. It's also borders on regulation. It borders on security. It borders on the country's control, as it were, which are some of the concerns of these other countries. In your own opinion, what do you think about Starlink and the challenges they are facing with some countries, and maybe in a very near future, Nigeria probably would also take the same stance?
Okay, so personally, I don't have any bias towards Starlink, but I was looking at the several countries that restricted or banned for one reason or the other Starlink in their countries, right? South Africa, Zimbabwe, and the likes.
Oh, Starlink service just went off for Kester.
You see my point. See,
Starlink. Starlink
I don't even have anything. This even.
And Kester was about to was going to make a point in Starlink support.
Yes, a very strong point, and Starlink disappointed him.
Remember Don Lemon? So Don Lemon had.
Next question.
Starlink was it Starlink, or I think it was Power Cut actually? But remember Don Lemon had what's it called, this one-on-one to launch his his new media engagement, and the first interview was with Elon Musk himself, and Elon was not open to tough questions, right? The guy really, took him on so many important conversations, and guess what? At the end of their session, his contract was just cancelled. The guy could not take it. His contract was cancelled. So maybe Starlink had or thought, Kester was about to come for them, and they took him off air. Anyway.
Just maybe. Welcome back, Kester.
Kester, welcome back.
Starlink that disconnected.
Have you switched to Globacom or MTN or Fiber? Which one are you now?
I switched to Ivata.
You got disconnected by Starlink. Okay, so make your point. You are making your point.
Yeah, so looking at all those different countries, right, and their reason for banning and all, I just noticed that it all boiled down to regulation, right? That they have to meet certain requirements. They have to. So I had to like pry further, right, to find out. Like, what exactly is this requirement that these people need from, Starlink and Elon Musk to operate? And I found that for at least the information I could get on the internet was for South Africa, because they were very fierce with their decision. And one of their major requirements for them to function in the capacity that they want to in South Africa is that 30% of the company has to be owned by a historically disadvantaged group, right? So what that means for me is like, oh, they would be more, they would feel more comfortable when people from a particular group is also part of and this, right, this goes to, because for other places like the Zimbabwe, I think, where that was even worse, like they outrightly banned it and they didn't want any dealings. So it makes me wonder, other than the fact that Starlink actually takes, to some extent, right, it could take the usage of internet from other national-based like internet service providers, like in Cameroon, right? From what I read, it got to the point where the national internet service provider that Cameroon uses, it became like the usage of it dropped, like, and Starlink was it started taking over. So to a large extent, you begin to wonder if an individual organization from like foreign is having this much power over the usage, right, of internet, like, you know, the service of internet usage. I mean, I think now Nigeria should also look at what all these countries are looking at, or maybe we are, I don't know, look at what all these countries are looking at and see how we can also put up our own front, our regulations to ensure that we curb these things as much as possible.
Abiola, this is a question for a wrong person, but I'm still going to ask you anyways, right? Do you think that Nigeria should also take the same stance as South Africa on Starlink? And if you think so, why?
When you mean stance, do you mean that 30% of Starlink should be owned by a Nigerian entity?
Okay,
like
let me put it in give you two options, right? Starlink is not operational in Russia. They don't even have license to operate. Same in China. Okay. Yeah. Now South Africa is coming with the opinion, which I believe also you can see a bit of connection to the apartheid. You can see the apartheid connection there. Elon Musk was a white South African. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And right now, he wants to offer a service in South Africa that would give him access to tons of information in terms of media control and all of that. So South Africa is of the opinion that if Starlink would operate, indigenous, if I got it right, indigenous South African should have at least 30% in the operations of South Africa. So bringing that to Nigeria, Starlink as of today is operating freely. Remember the NSAS days? A tweet from this guy, was it Jack Dorsey then? Was also part of what triggered what almost became a major issue in Lagos. Do you understand? So, what position should Nigeria take?
Well, in terms of Nigerians owning a percentage of any entity that comes into Nigeria, I am totally in support for it. As a matter of fact, I feel it should be 50-50, right? Yes, Nigerians might, I'm being honest. I mean, you can say the Nigerians should bring the money. You can say 20% of the 50% that Nigerians will bring will be their local content and stuff like that. Or you are giving equity to your first set of staff vested over a period of time. You are giving equity to your engineers or people who are doing dangerous jobs or their families, some sort of insurance or whatever. But I think it should be 50-50, right? Because, I mean, if you set up your business in the US, right, and you have made money in the US and you want to come into Nigeria, right, you have to register a Nigerian entity. I won't leave Nigeria now and I want to go and set up an e-commerce business in the US and they will allow me to just set up that e-commerce business where I'll just set it up legal entity and I'll just be making money and shipping all the money back to Nigeria. It doesn't work that way now. So if the US is going to treat me that way, or if South Africa is going to treat Elon Musk that way, then definitely if you come into my country, proudly Nigerian, then I would also treat you the same. So come into my country, no problems. Bring your invention and your equipment, no problem. But I have to have a percentage of that so that I benefit from it, my people benefit from it, and my children yet unborn benefit from it.
Currently, that is not even the practice. Starlink is not even registered in Nigeria, right?
Exactly.
Right. I think they have some distributors already. TD Africa happens to be one of their first distributor. I think they also had some sort of agreement with Jumia. As it currently stands, Starlink making money from Nigeria, not regulated by Nigeria, and I don't think they even have any tax obligation. They don't even have a registered company in Nigeria yet. You know,
that's the problem that we face. That's the problem that we face with what's it called now? With businesses just operating freely. If you recall, one of the things that the federal government used in mitigating Twitter was that after banning Twitter, they called them in and said, okay, you know what? We want to start taxing you, right? It was wrong. It was an afterthought, right? If in the beginning, Nigeria had said, Twitter, you cannot operate in Nigeria except the ad revenue that you generate here is being taxed. Or Facebook, you cannot operate except you're paying tax on the ad revenue. You cannot imagine the amount of money that Nigeria is leaving on the table from social media content and social media platforms that are just making a killing of Nigerians. A killing. Streaming platforms. I don't know if there is anywhere where YouTube is currently paying Nigeria or the Nigerian federal government taxes for streaming in Nigeria.
We should find out. Kester, Kester, finish your thoughts before we move to the next topic.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, right, it's just like Abiola has mentioned. It's something that we should really look into. Looking at going through these several countries, I was very particular about the regulations and what those requirements were and the way they stood. In fact, South Africa, they had ways, right? Like individuals, like businesses, they had ways where they would go around the system and still manage to use Starlink, right? They would purchase from like a country that already works with Starlink and then find a way to just, and their government still went as far as finding that out and like making it public that this is illegal. They had to have people from Starlink, Elon Musk and team send an official mail, an official letter to South Africa to say, oh, this is not what the intended use for Starlink is. And if we notice that you are using Starlink in a country that is not accepted for up to 2 months, we are going to like disable the. So they had to enforce this. They had to go to that length. It can't be ordinary, in my opinion. There must be like a lot of considerations there. So how come over here, even beyond the money making aspect, right? How come over here, these are not things that we are looking at. These are not things that we are like particular about to ensure we have that control. So that's pretty much
our second topic is kind of related to the conversation we're having with Starlinks, right? Starlink is actually more like it's a company that just started, not that penetration, they have penetration everywhere yet. Now, if you look at the case of Binance, which is the second conversation we want to have, everything Binance is being accused of now, Binance is not paying taxes. They are not deducting VAT on transactions that happen on their platform. They are not even registered with FIRS according to what they were charged for. Do you understand? With Nigerian government. So how can you be operating and taking money from people in Nigeria and you don't have any form of registration? Part of the issue is also the issue on KYC. But this business has operated for a long time before it got to the point of Binance being kicked out, their license being withdrawn, right? Right. My ask it would be, what are we doing as a country to ensure that the right things were done right from inception, not when it becomes a big deal or an issue? You understand what I'm saying? So look at the case of this Binance guy. I would want maybe to start with Abiola, your reaction to what is actually happening on the case of Binance. You know, is it that the government is just unnecessarily overbearing, you know, or making issue out of no issue as it currently appears, or there's really something to look at in cryptocurrency business, you know, as a whole? Abiola?
Okay, so like I said, same stance. Binance is in a lot of trouble, not only in Nigeria, but also in the US. Binance was fined in the US for breaking laws. It should not be that when you are in Nigeria, you are in a no-law land and you can do anyhow you like. Binance was accused of several things from the federal government, which may or may not be true. Part of it was money laundering. It may or may not be true. People round-tripping monies all around the place, performing something that they call arbitrage transactions, buying USDT, which is the equivalent of the US dollar at speculative amounts, and people on the P2P network just speculatively putting prices, and everything just kept on going down the hill. I do not think that the federal government is being overbearing. I think that they came late to the party, right?
Thank you.
But they need to make an impact in one way or another. It's better late than never. You cannot just leave things that are supposed to be and say, oh, because we didn't catch it in the beginning and they've been here for 10 years, then they can go. What I think that they did wrong, or they could have done better, for lack of better word, is instead of shutting down Binance, or instead of arresting the executives and locking them up in the first instance, they should have had a sit down with them to say, you know what, you are running a business here. From the country you came from, these are how things are done. But in this country, this is how things are done. You need to be registered with the FIRS. You need to be registered with the SEC. Part of your compliance needs to be that we need to see your top 100 or top 100,000 performing traders, or people who make the most transactions, just P2P transfers. We need to see a daily top 100. Anybody that does, I mean, if you go to a bank now, for example, or you deposit more than 5 million naira, if you deposit 5 million, 1 naira in my personal bank account today, it gets reported to the SEC, right? It's a law. But if you deposit $5 million into my Binance account when there was Binance, nobody knew. So it definitely could have facilitated money laundering.
How do you draw a line between a country that wants to attract investors? Right? You want to attract investors. Oh, we need to really make Nigeria a good country to do business with. You know, there's this I remember the former vice president, ease of doing business, right? We want to make the ease of doing business in Nigeria to be possibly one of the best country, any investor, number one sought out after country, investor destination country. That's what we wanted to make Nigeria. So how do you draw the line, right? Okay, the likes of Binance that brought investments, the executive is on the run now.
Let's clear that. Let's clear that. Binance did not bring investments into Nigeria.
Starlink is not bringing investment.
No, there is nobody that Starlink is employing. They didn't bring investment into Nigeria.
Are you sure? They have distributors. I just mentioned TD. I just mentioned Jumia. Now that's investment.
No,
right?
It's not investment.
It's not also facilitating how you're doing business, because right now you are even better.
Those are retailers. It's like
you are better connected. Anyways, Kester on Binance.
Before Kester goes, let me just see. Simple way is drawing a fine line on the rules and regulations of doing a business in Nigeria, right? There is no way. I strongly disagree that you say Binance brought investments into Nigeria. No, Binance did not bring investments into Nigeria.
No. That's not my position. I'm saying, like, I mean, we can easily argue that the position the government is taking, like cracking that on, you know, I mean, finding every reason to hold people, businesses, to regulate businesses, and making it difficult for them to make business decisions by virtue of the fact that government is always going after businesses that are making effort.
No, they're not making it difficult at all. They're not making it difficult. Like I said, they are late to the party, right? So what I think, in my own opinion, is that they should sit back, relax, and draw out clear regulations or processes for ease of business that people would follow, instead of trying to clamp down on businesses individually. I mean, they clamped down on Binance now. There are 1,000,001 other P2P trading platforms that people still use till date. We just started hearing of them as much, right?
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so I feel like they should have a clear-cut template. If you want to register a business in Nigeria, or if you want to operate as a business in Nigeria, you need to have a Nigerian entity. You need to have 30% of Nigerian staff. You need to have a physical office. I mean, just like regulations for opening a microfinance bank, you need to have paid rent at least for 10 years on the property that you are using as the headquarters of a bank. All those kind of things.
But if you look at that direction you are going again, right? I also see us finding ourselves in a similar situation that we had in the 70s. Board members, right? It gives Nigerians sense of entitlement. They are not even ready to compete. Kester, your thoughts? I'll hold Abiola. I don't want him to react to board member very quickly, because he's also like a beneficiary of that particular area like me. Kester, on Binance, what's your reaction?
Well, I'll start with this. The truth is that in several realities, right, for especially small business owners, like small and medium business owners, that that are looking to deal in international trades, with dollars and all of that. A lot of what is happening now in Nigeria in terms of regulation is actually putting a lot of it's restraining a lot of possibilities. You understand? That's the truth. You get, but if you now take, because I actually had to, because I was really worried, how would our country be doing all of this? So I had to just take my time to, read and see why some of these things are done. And you were right. The only issue is that they are just late to the party, right? If this had been implemented from the onset, we would have had a flow such that it won't really be a problem. We would just know how to get. But now coming down to Binance and the executives, right? In fact, there's this one guy, I don't know if I can remember his name, Kenyan, that escaped. He was being held in Abuja, right, in a particular place in Abuja, and he escaped and got to Kenya. Now they ordered for that extraction. You understand? That'll be extradition. I mean, my question is how? How do you escape being held, by Nigeria? So the thing is, it just goes to, I don't know. It goes to show some level of. Let me hold that thought. You understand? But my main point on this, right, is the fact that the attempt now to get this particular person back to Nigeria, right, to face the charges that he was made. I think part of it was the fact that, people have not been paying value-added tax and all of that, right? So it is now an almost impossible affair to get him back to Nigeria. Even one detective they were speaking with, he said, truth is, there is a lot of red tapes that has to, go down for them to get him down to Nigeria and all that. And in fact, he cited a particular scenario similar in 2011, and that still they've not been able to get that person out of the country because of those things they have in place. So I think I think we as a country and our government we really need to. Well, I do think we have started doing that now, right? With a lot of things that have been seen happening, that seems like it's not the best. That seems like it's bad, right? I have this feeling that they've started to become aware of certain things that are actually important, right? And have started taking actions.
So, Kester, if you say government is,
I don't think Nigeria is cracking too hard on Binance. I think
you think Nigeria is not cracking too hard.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So you both agree on the fact that government did the right thing with their position on Binance, and who knows, maybe the Binance crackdown is also what is bringing down the dollar to naira that almost got to 2000 as well.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Anyways,
don't go there.
So talking about late to the party, Kester, can you play the video on money laundering? I'm sorry, on EFCC. I want to get you guys' reaction. Is EFCC also late to the party? The case of Bobrisky and Obi Kubana. I mean, this is a social media video for the week, right? Can you play that video? So I want to hear from you guys.
Bobrisky has been sentenced to 6 months in jail without the option of a fine, and Cubana Priest has also been charged for abusing the Naira. The next person could be you or me, as we've all mishandled Naira at some point.
Premium or nothing. Now you know. Now you know. Now you know.
The EFCC's prosecutor, judge, and the lawyer that argued the case would have also abused Naira at one point or the other. With countless videos of people spraying money at parties and market men and women mishandling Naira notes, the EFCC could potentially be prosecuting millions of Nigerians to ensure fairness. Otherwise, EFCC risks the case of Bobrisky and Cubana Priest has been seen as a selective justice case. While I support reprimanding people for Naira misuse, a 6-month sentence for a first-time offender seems excessive. The EFCC should prioritize its limited resources on tackling more significant corruption offenses rather than focusing on relatively minor crimes like Naira abuse.
Premium or nothing. Now you know. Now you know.
So, what do you think? Is EFCC also late to the party?
No, funny enough, EFCC is not late to the party. I mean, the law that was enacted by the CBN as amended, it was in 2007, if I'm not wrong, that it was illegal to spray the Naira. It was illegal to mutilate the Naira in their own words, spray, step on, dance and match. And if I recall correctly, I think I was in 2007. I must have just finished secondary school, and one of the questions that I had in my head then was, okay, what is the position of the US on this? And I didn't find anything, because as at that time, hip hop was very, very popular, right? And we used to see the likes of 50 Cent throwing money in the air and being at the club,
nightclubs,
and nightclubs, and stacking up $1 bills and just spraying it and spraying it and spraying it. And I was like, okay, what is the economic value of the ban of spraying of Naira on the Nigerian economy? But then when I did a little more digging as of recent, in their opinion, as an excuse for them, what they say is, when you spray the Naira and trample upon it and mutilate it, in their words, the Naira spoils faster. It gets older faster, it gets torn, it gets abused, and they have to reprint, which costs them more money to replace every Naira that you damage. But then again, take a step back and look at it as Nigeria. When you go to a party and you stack up 500,000 Naira in 200s and 500s, right? It is more fun for the Alujo guy to be calling your name while you are giving him, why you're encouraging him, right? And for the couple or for the Omoloku to be dancing, and you're encouraging their dancing prowess and their performance on the dance floor, right? As compared to, I make a transfer of 500,000. It doesn't. I feel like the spraying of the Naira is a human thing of any currency. It's a human thing. It's a cultural thing. It's one of our things of pride. If you know how much I sprayed at the last party that I attended, I sprayed money. But then again, I also think that, there's an easy way around this thing. Very easy way. The same thing that we did when there was the Naira shortage. If you recall, people just went and they printed their face on money. They just printed their face on paper and they wrote 100 Naira, 200 Naira. and you transfer the money into the couple's account, into the celebrant's account, they will give you a stack equivalent, 100 pieces of 200 naira.
The experience is not the same. Trust me, people get those papers like to redeem or get payment, because it doesn't. So look at the way party works, right? You're spraying the musician. You're not only spraying the musician, you're spraying the celebrant. You're also, by extension, dropping money for people to steal.
Yes,
Do you understand?
yes.
So if you look at all the stakeholders involved in that particular value chain, do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, now all the stakeholders in that value chain, you know how
I
many
agree with you.
disenfranchised.
I agree with you.
Disenfranchised.
I agree with you.
Kester, before you react, let me first express my own thoughts, like the way I see it for starters. Firstly, I think the way Bobrisky was treated was so unfair. So unfair because we're talking about, I mean, I'm later getting news like, he has some other charges, you know, that are associated to that particular case, that it wasn't just about the abuse of Naira and all of that. This guy was a first-time offender on this particular subject matter. He pleaded guilty to it. Now, the law says that you have the option of fine. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge. You have the option of fine or 6 months imprisonment or both. And for a first-time offender, right, who has pleaded guilty, that have also saved government resources, because part of what drives any court proceeding, judges crazy, wasting the time of government, wasting resources. Do you understand? If you are pleading not guilty, it means that, I mean, people will keep coming back to court, and of course it comes at a cost to government. You understand? And what she now did was to get him, what's it called? The judgment on him that he goes for 6 months without the option of fine. Well, that is good enough as a deterrent, right? If that's what the intention was. But my point here is, now government has so many people to arrest. Oh. Like, you really, so in fact, I would expect that EFCC should have a budget to expand the capacity of Nigerian prisons, because millions of people will go to jail if they want to be. I mean, a lot of people will go to jail.
Half of Nigeria, 100 million people.
100 million people will go to jail, right? Because right now, otherwise, it's going to be seen as selective justice. Do you understand? Because if Kubana himself cannot go to jail, Wasiu Ayinde cannot go to jail, Sonny Ade will go to jail, Pasuma will go to jail. Start giving me names. What's the name of this senator? There was one senator's wife. There was one senator's wife that was on in this
Regina Daniels. Regina Daniels.
Regina Daniels. Is this Senator Nedu or whatever his name is?
Regina Daniels.
Many people will go to jail. EFCC has no excuse, right? Just start going after all of those people, because we have more than enough video evidence, right? Except you are saying, because what Bobrisky, I don't know which particular one they were referring to. Was it was it after the law? Was it an incident that happened after the law?
Yeah,
so it was after the law. So it means that you have to go back to everybody involved
the point
in the abuse of Naira from when the law has been passed, including some governors, some senators.
In my opinion, right? The law is the law, to be honest. And there's a popular Yoruba saying, it might not be popular, but there is something called Ijoba Munimuyi. When the government comes at you full force. The law is the law. It doesn't mean that the law should be broken, but laws are made so that it can be broken. That's why there are laws.
Anyways, Kester, let me get your thoughts. I'm a what's it called, a law person too, but sometimes, you know, I mean, you really need to strike a balance in some of these things. EFCC has, I mean, important cases that they should pursue. They are going after
I also
Kester,
feel
your
that
thoughts?
I also feel that Bobrisky was.
Well,
I feel like it was retarded, to be honest. I do feel like it was retarded because I mean,
well, for me,
I've been saying one time immemorial.
You know, the guy was, I mean, publicly humiliated. Everything has gone wrong about this guy. Before you know it,
I think
Actually,
they wanted to prove that he
I
was
feel-
not.
for me, I think
some folks of faith will come for me. Who cares? I mean, who cares how he dresses? I don't care. That's his lifestyle.
No, hold on.
Let's allow Kester to make his point. They are
Yeah, Kester,
going
make your
after
point.
him because of his personality. Kester,
Yeah. They just wanted to send him to a male prison. That's all.
Yeah. So
That's
so
why-
for me, I actually think this is like, well, this is not for me to speak bad about any judge or anybody that passed the judgment, but the question like, what is your gender? And he said that I'm a man. He said I'm a man, and this is the same person that has gone around, in fact, proclaiming himself the Big Mommy of Lagos?
Big Mommy of Lagos.
Something like that. So I feel like the judge was, or whoever the people that came to the decision that they came to, they were like pissed off, and it was like a bias kind of thing because of his personality. In fact, now if you see the news going out, this is someone that is now like, they say he's growing beards, right? He's already becoming manly. It's like the manly, right? So to me, I just feel like it's not really, it's not really about the spraying of money. That, I mean, if it's like you rightly said, they should go back and arrest everyone that has done the same.
Is there any law in Nigeria that says that as a man you can't dress as a woman, or as a woman you can't dress as a man?
There is a well, although it has never been confirmed or anything in any way, but there has been strong rumors that this guy goes around, sleeping with men and all of that stuff, right? Like gay. And except I'm mistaken,
so if the case is being
like
what's
gay,
it called? Charged for was in relation to his what's it called, sexual whatever, right? And that is the basis of that conversation, right? That would probably be another conversation we're having. My own focus is primarily around the fact that you wanted to attack his personality, and you didn't find anything you can hold him for, and you're coming from how Naira was handled or how Naira was abused. And I'm saying that EFCC, now that you've started this, you can't stop at just this issue alone. You need to really open it up, right? Let's see how far you can go. I'm not sure EFCC even have the resources to deal with this.
No, they don't. I don't think they do. They don't. There is no way the EFCC is going to prosecute everybody that has a video of them spraying Naira. I'm a bogon.
Anyways, I would expect that Bobrisky and his appeal, I'm sure he still has a case actually.
No, he can't appeal. He's guilty.
Oh.
He cannot appeal.
No, even pleading guilty, you actually can still appeal. You can plead, you can appeal. I'm not a lawyer. Maybe we should engage a lawyer on this. Yes, you pleaded guilty. You can appeal on the sentence. You can take the court. You can take the states to court on the basis of what, I've appealed. I've never done anything before. I think, this is so unfair. Do you understand? On that basis, but unfortunately, it probably would be going for his appeal, whatever, from prison. Unfortunately, 6 months is.
And I heard they just Kirikiri.
They took him to where Kirikiri. Is there already?
According to Kirikiri.
Oh, I really feel for this guy. I honestly, every time I was seeing stuff, I see what people were saying online about him. It looks like I'm on my own on this one. A
lot of people are supporting this move of having him arrested, and they're like, yes, finally, without even knowing probably why, right? But again, to me, it's just like they were just targeting.
Anybody can say whatever they like. I think Bobrisky was treated unfairly. Whichever way he likes he dress. Who cares? Anyways, guys, let's Kester, can we move to the next video? This one is actually very interesting. Something, still related to some of the conversations we've had before. The fast pace of technology, how fast technology is going these days, is really moving so fast that sometimes you ask yourself, what is the next couple of years going to look like, right? Can we fast forward and look at 5 years time and see what the future would look like in 5 years time? So now we're looking at the implant of chip to replace what you have as your payment card, right? You can just swipe your finger because you have a chip already embedded in your skin to make your payment, to open your doors, to start your car, to do all manner of stuff as your means of identification for the purpose of tracking and all of that. Kester, drop that video and let me get you guys thoughts about it. Technology is really getting more interesting these days. Abiola, last week our conversation was on AI and how AI is really driving the future of warfare. And I was I'm up till now, I'm still worried about where things currently stands. But anyways, this is another technology that I think should be another cause for worry for us. Kester, play the video.
A doctor inserts the microchip between your thumb and index finger using a device similar to a syringe. Now, these chips can actually be really helpful tools, and they utilize the same technology used in phone payments. With this tiny device, your body essentially becomes a contactless key. It can open doors using sensors and can even start a car. They last anywhere from 10 to 20 years and can be removed with a small incision in the skin.
So, Kester, the promoter of this technology, they are looking for volunteers, and I already, dropped your name as some of those that are willing to get it installed on you just to have the first experience.
That's not going to happen. it's not going to
technology
happen.
Now, it's going to make your life easier, right?
No, I like my life the way it is. But the way the thing is, right? I remember during the COVID, right, where they made us, like, in fact, in some organization it was mandatory that you had to take this stuff, and that's the vaccine. This is now speaking to the vaccine. Yes, it got to the point where long story short, right, at the end of the day, we saw that, this wasn't necessarily like a necessity, like 100% necessity for you to, but it was just imposed on us. Now, this is going to be me coming from a more, how would I put it? I'm not going to be coming from the angle of it will sound as if, this guy is just being, is a conspiracy theorist and all. But it's what I believe, right? And what I believe is there are definitely, or rather what I think is for sure a fact, is that there are definitely some set of people in the world today, like powerful people that have access to data, right? And I'm talking about human data. Like, and what this chip would do is you are giving access to people to have like your real-time data, like as a human. Now, who knows what might be in play for what is intended to, what the intended purpose would be. But the point is, you don't have control of yourself. This is the way I see it. You don't have control of a lot of things. Already, as we are now, we don't have control of many things. But at least we have some control, right? But I see this technology, this microchip, as a that's final holder on our lives. Like, now we've got you, right? That's how I see it. And I don't think there is going to be, well, this might be my statement. My statement might actually be like short-sighted, given that I've not actually experienced so much in this regard. But I will say it anyway. I don't think there is going to be a scenario that will make me take this chip.
Kester, it's because you are not a tech enthusiast, right? You're too conservative. You are too conservative for my liking.
I'm not interested in
Abiola,
implant a chip.
Abiola, okay. If you are the executive director of NSCDC, because for a technology like this, it would involve NSCDC, it will involve NCC, which other regulator will be involved, right? And you wear the cap as the executive director for all these regulators combined, right? What would be your decision if this technology is presented to you for approval? As a tech enthusiast that I know you to be.
I will throw it as far into the ocean as I possibly can.
Why, if I may ask?
Very simple. Seeing that thing alone, in my head, I'm like, these people can program this thing, and even if you want to kill yourself and die, the thing will send shockwaves. You can't die.
Exactly.
Or to make you have cancer.
But that's part of government responsibility, preventing you from harming yourself. It's part of government responsibility.
If it wants to prevent you from harming yourself, then if they want you to have cancer, they'll probably just release one of the batteries into you, and you have cancer. You die in 24 hours without even knowing. You know? So I strongly do not in any way subscribe to anything being implanted in my skin. Like Kester said.
But because I want you to react to this too. How is it different from cigarettes, right? Cigarettes got regulatory approval. You are out. No, how is it different? You puff, it goes. You inhale to your body and your system. It's your decision. So I'm basically trying to get approval for my device and leave the judgment in the hands of those customers that I want to sell it to.
The people don't know what they want. Cigarettes is cigarette. Beer is beer. This is an implant that will give you unlimited access to data.
It's sealed. It's protected. It's not going to have any harm on your body. The same way you do tattoo.
But it's going to give you access to give you access to the blood rate of the person. Are you the person's doctor?
That's my decision now. Let me make my decision myself. It's not your decision. I'm not making it compulsory for you to subscribe or buy my service. Don't you get? I just need approval, regulatory approval, so I can sell to my customers.
Thank God you have said this thing now, so that Nigeria can come early to the party this time around. Let them keep it wherever they kept it. We are not going to allow them to come in.
I have a stake in this.
I want to stay away from the internet, for example.
Abiola, I'm their joint venture partner. I'm the one bringing this solution to Nigeria.
That might be connected to every internet on the planet by default.
Honestly,
no, it's going to make you more connected.
Infinite possibility of what could be done, like how it can be used.
No. But see, can you see from the flexibility of everything around you, right? Now with this, you actually can do virtually everything. You are making your payments even in your sleep. So many things.
I can do everything around me right now. I'm fine.
Yeah, but I have some people that always want a seamless way of doing everything. These are my
set up a new country for them in Antarctica.
Abiola, you're not one of them. Let me connect with my audience. I just need you as the head of NSCDC, NCC, FCC combined to approve.
Go to Antarctica, not in Nigeria.
You won't approve.
No, I won't approve.
Okay, I rest my case on this. Another interesting conversation, and I really wish I'm in New York to support Onokoya, Tunde Onokoya. How many hours now? Like, I think the last time I checked was about 20-something hours, some few.
I think it's over 30 hours now. It's almost 40 hours.
Yeah.
The video was also, the video showed up, gave him support. It was like a very emotional moment for him. Like, it was the last, anybody in his position would have expected. Right? This guy is wonderful. What he has really committed himself to in the last how many years now is so extraordinary. Right? Abiola, you want to say something about Tunde?
Well, I really admire when I see people do things that make such great impact in very, very little, and do it with very, very simple things. I mean, who would have thought going under the bridge of Oshodi to pick up a few young chaps, teach them chess, teach them mathematics, and get them off the streets? And now he's going for the world record. I mean, in my own books, he already has the world record, right? It is not easy. I mean, Afo, you would know, you've been in Nigeria years. Kester, you would know it's not easy to go under the bridge of Oshodi to go and harvest any child. At the same time. It takes guts, and I super respect that about the man. Super respect it about him. The fact that he can do such a thing, accomplish it. I mean, Guinness World Record or not, I have huge respect for him. Huge.
Kester, what do you have to say about Tunde?
Yeah, I mean, Abiola,
if you are one-on-one with Tunde, what would be your ask, or what would be your remark or question to Tunde?
Not really. I don't think I would have any question to him, or maybe at this point now, I'm not thinking of any question. But one thing I would definitely tell him is just to continue, right? Just to keep up, because what he's doing, it already has it has like an encouragement in like a lot of people from even this part, like Nigeria, right? A lot of young people that has this big dream, big this, big that, when they see their fellow brother at that level, doing something like that, there's a lot of like motivation that causes. So honestly, that's like, the guy is really
Abiola, if I see him, the first thing I'll do is to hug him so warmly. I'm going to hug him. And I'm going to hug him because I come from a background that I have a good picture of what it feels like or what it looks like. Because necessarily I won't put myself in that position, okay? Because I have very good parents, that gave me a very good upbringing. But growing up in an environment that people around you are not as privileged as you,
yeah,
right? Growing up on Lagos Island, I know, the type of how disadvantaged people from that type of environment can be. You understand what I'm saying? A child under the bridge, son or for you to be under the bridge to start with, your mom or dad could be one paraga seller. Your dad could be some bowler guy. Not to disrespect, that particular business and venture, right? But that's the world you have yourself exposed to. And some of the kids that this guy brought out of the hood are guys that are already, smoking all manner of stuff, even before they became teenagers. I remember the story of 1 Million Boys. I know what it looks like when there's this LA1 issue, street fight on Lagos Island, and you'll be surprised the type of boys that are coming out from under the bridge to really create some of this problem. So if someone is bold enough came up with something that is so unusual to get people off the streets, to really get attention, because it wasn't just about his effort alone, it's also the fact that he's really putting a beam light for the problem that has always been there, for government and everybody that cares to listen, to see that we have problem here and we need to solve that problem. And that for me connects to what we are also trying to do in our own little way, looking for used computers and getting new owners for those used computers. And we are so committed to that too, as a way of, there was one of our conversation and we're talking about how Indians have done fantastically well on their effort in dominating the tech space. The more people we can get computers to, the better for us as a country, and we also can have our own seats on the table. Kester, I want you to introduce our tech actor of the week.
Yeah, Adora Nwodo. Let's give her that round of applause.
Hey, Adora.
Yes, she has a very remarkable profile. I'll just quickly read through what she has. She's professionally known as Adora Nwodo and is a multi-award-winning software engineer. She currently works at the intersection of cloud engineering and developer platforms. She's passionate about cloud and emerging technologies with a first-class computer science degree from the University of Lagos. Adora has a strong software engineering background. Adora enjoys building innovative technologies on the cloud. She is also the vice president of the Nigerian chapter of VR/AR Association. Her work there involves creating more awareness for virtual and augmented reality technologies. Running down to the end, Adora is the author of the popular book, Cloud Engineering for Beginners. This book is currently helping a lot of people start their career as cloud engineers. She's also the author of Beginning Azure DevOps, a book published by Wiley. She is extremely passionate about the developer community and is driving inclusion for women in technology. Wow. That's a lot for one. That's a lot for one person.
Anyways, let's give it up to Adora. Adora, well done. I mean, I saw her profile. I said to myself, wow. When I see lady in tech, ladies generally, whatever they want to do, the minute they put their mind into it, they would always outshine any man, any day, any time. For some reason, I wish we really can get more ladies in tech that would outshine all these men that are dominating it. People like Abiola, they need competition. The more ladies we have, the better for us. Their domination is something else. A round of applause for Adora. I mean, I'm looking forward to when we can really have conversation with Adora, just to pick her brain. You know, let's pick her brain, engage her, and understand what she's doing, and say to her face how amazing Adora is to us and how much we appreciate her. So guys, we've had very interesting conversation today, and I honestly appreciate the angle both of you came from. To wrap up our conversation, I would want you guys to help me with your closing remark as it relates to everything we've discussed, because that is also very important for key takeouts at the end of session and for people to really understand what we stand for individually. Who is going to go first?
So this has really been an awesome session, and as I expected to, I got to hear from Abiola and his POVs on several of these topics, right? But one thing I would want to close with is, in as much as if for whoever is going to get this, like that's going to get to watch this particular episode of Techtalk-With-AFO, who knows, it may likely get to the ears that would need to hear it. For what our government is currently doing in terms of, regulations and trying to set certain things in place to better the economy, right?
All right, my final thoughts, really simple. So in all that we've said, or most of what we've said, it all boils down to the fact that our country should stop coming to the party late. I honestly do not like how people are being treated when we realize in the end that, oh shoot, we can be making money from these guys, or why are we not making money from these guys, or why are we not regulating these guys? And the same goes, same that goes for Binance is what goes for Bobrisky's story, is also what goes for Starlink, because I see it as something that can happen in a very near future where they realize, oh shoot, we need to start making money from these guys. It doesn't concern anyone right now because Starlink does not have doesn't have a significant share of the market, not just yet. It's too expensive for people to purchase. It's too expensive for people to maintain. But on the long run, I suspect that it's become something that people will be able to afford even more, and then the Nigerian government starts to look for how to clamp down on them and make life miserable for them, thereby hardening or making worse the ease of doing business in Nigeria. So wrapping up, pretty simple. I want the Nigerian government to come earlier to the party. Let them begin to put in structures and amenities in place to ensure ease of doing business, to ensure investors come in, to ensure people can bring in their businesses to Nigeria. And it not only benefits them in terms of them repatriating their monies back to Nigeria and back to their home country, but also in ways of retaining the monies as local content or as local within our local economy. Thank you very much.
Abiola, we have a common position on all these topics that we've discussed. Very important that the government must actually preempt issues before it goes out of hand. Not coming late to the party, very important, like you rightly said. The ease of doing business is not just about going around from countries to countries, engaging investors or would like you to come to Nigeria. You also want them to have that sense of assurance that when you come to Nigeria eventually, right, you will be treated fairly no matter what. Up front, you have a clear understanding of how things should work, right? If you're not doing the right thing, you are corrected early enough and you are properly guided, right? Sometimes you are not even sure who is responsible for what. You understand, from a businessman standpoint, you guys run businesses too, and you also would agree with me that sometimes it can really be very difficult to know what is right and what is wrong, particularly when it comes to regulation in Nigeria, in tech space especially. So for example, if you look at the licensing around fintech, right? At some point, guys were not even sure what type of license they would need to operate, right? Yeah. At some point, people felt that the minute you have a microfinance bank license, you can do virtually everything. You understand what I'm saying? So governments really not to be late to party, to really be ahead of technology and understand the direction of any particular subject matter is important, and to really take charge of it before it goes out of hand. That is very important. And that also, like you said, applies to everything we've discussed, including, some of as necessary as what EFCC is doing, right? You ask yourself, are you going to be using millions of naira to chase, to chase a couple of thousands, looking at all other pressing issues that is really begging for attention and is affecting our economy more than anybody can imagine, right? I agree that we should have deterrence, but again, it's important to channel our resources into where it will make a meaningful impact. Technology, as good as technology is, at the end of the day, humanity should always come first. Regulating technology to the extent that it won't affect our fundamental human rights is what anybody without any taking any position will agree with. So guys, thank you so much for your time. It's wonderful having this conversation with you, and we'll do this same time, same platform as usual, the same way we connect and have this very casual conversation on everything that revolves around technology.